Hi, caller, you're on the air.
Calling from Blue Mounds, which is about 25 miles west of Madison there. And just before you went on the air, there was a shooting at an elementary school in Connecticut where the news changes continuously, but it's getting close to 30 deaths, many children, many young children. And so there's a great deal of shock and sadness and anger and confusion, and I'm wondering if Rinpoche can give us some guidance on dealing with this news today and similar things that occur.
That occur pretty much weekly nowadays, and yet it seems on the political agenda there's nothing more important than making sure that every American has weapons in their hands. Rinpoche, please.
I am as shocked as others are right now, that there is no answer other than this is insanity. It's insanity in its worst form. And at this time of the year, people's hearts are more open, and that we feel that children are the repositories of the joy of Christmas. So it's beyond the death of these children, that they've deprived us of our special time to arise all children. So it's an affront to all people that our children are being attacked. That in our tradition, that this becomes a time for introspection and praying to deity, to the Buddha, to Jesus, to please take and guard these tiny souls, these tiny living beings, and give them the best opportunity, that they have been stolen, that their lives have been stolen from them. Care for them. Most important are to care is to have higher being care for those who have lost their life. This is number one. And secondly, we pray that those who are close to these children, that their parents and families, may they find peace. May they recover from this terrible loss, and it takes time. And we also pray that our government will create an atmosphere where this type of activity is unconscionable, that there are countries in this world where this type of activity would be impossible. And so our confusion regarding guns and taking of lives, the violence that is experienced in what they call these small toys that they play like a video game. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
What they call it?
I don't know, but I think
where the children manipulate and shoot.
Right, yeah.
These,
joysticks?
I don't know what they're called. But
yeah,
anyway,
I'm not sure.
This actually trains people to consider human life as not valuable. May we return to considering human life and the opportunities of human life as supreme. I am so sorry. Om Mani Padme Hum for these innocents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, I want to cry.
Yeah. We were all talking about it just before getting on the air. It is such a horrible thing. But so maybe that is a good time to tackle the notion of karma and dharma. Perhaps you can explain to us what these terms are, but also maybe we can take this example and understand the concept of karma. I think a simplistic understanding of karma would say, what did these little souls, not little souls, these little people, these young people, what did their souls do to deserve to die in such a horrible day at such a young age? And we can ask that question about so many things throughout the world. Explain to us, please, how to understand that in karmic terms? And maybe you can start with a quick explanation of karma and dharma.
You know, after 9/11, I believe it was 9/11, that I was in Madison at that time, and I attended an interfaith grouping of religious ministers of different faiths that gathered together in order to be able to talk to their parishioners and their adherents how to explain this terrible tragedy, what to say to their congregation. And while I was there was good conversation. A person sitting near me, a fellow, had said that these people who died in 9/11 died because it was their karma. And so that they probably did something really terrible in some previous life, and this was the karmic retribution for that. I almost fell on the floor. I said, what religion or what faith are you representing? He said, I am Buddhism, and I know these things because I have studied them. I have studied them for a long time. And I said, this is an absolute lie. This is a lie. This is harmful. That those people had their lives stolen from them. That the teachings of karma are meant for people who are doing serious, deep self-inquiry in understanding how their actions will bring causes, will bring future causes. That how we treat others and the difficulties of others is only with compassion. How we treat ourselves as spiritual practitioners is with this self-honesty that would include karma. We never say it was their karma to die. This is wrong. This would be like a butcher's kind of Buddhism. We don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Karma, basically, is action. Producing action, having that held inside, and the results of your action.
So
what? Like someone smacks someone, and they smack them back. This may be instant karma, huh?
Right. Yeah. So I'm trying to find words to kind of repeat what you're saying in other words, and I want to get to our next caller too. But basically, I think you're saying that that the study of karma is a tool for self-observation, reflection, and a way for a person to progress in a spiritual sense. It is not something that you apply to others. It is something that...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Although, if we look at it in a positive way,
mm-hmm.
someone has some great good luck, you might say to them, oh my, you must have good karma collected from some previous life. So we could certainly talk about it in a positive way, but when things turn negative and suffering is involved, then we only use compassion for others.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that the good karma that you've collected to, for example, Mitt Romney, who certainly has a lot of money and a lot of success in the material world?
Would he have good karma?
Would you, if you met him, would you say that to him? Would you say, oh, you must have collected a lot of good karma? Do you think that's what's at play here, or maybe other factors?
No, there's a kind of worldly karma. So we have worldly karma, there are worldly religions, there are worldly spirituality, where feel-good feelings and success and money and status, that these are the signs of this kind of success in worldly spirituality. That, however, Buddhism is a transcendent religion, that we believe that the journey which we are participating in the human realm actually has its final destination as perfection. That, what do you call, Rumi said it, and I say it, and we've all said it, that this world is not your true home. That I say that we have dawdled too long in this human realm. And so if we become what I call street-smart humans, being able to manipulate the system to get wealth and status and power, then this is a very big stuck place. This is not good karma, even though superficially it might appear so.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to our next caller. Hi, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. I was thinking about this event that you were talking about. I did not know of it until you spoke. And your guest touched on what I'm thinking, which is that in our prayers, I think we also need to pray for the person who did the harm, because someone who's capable of killing 30 children is probably an extremely hurt and confused and sick person.
Damaged person.
And could very well be mentally ill, which is something that they did not choose. And I think it's really important, as you said, to be compassionate. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Rinpoche.
That's an interesting point, that our practice of compassion doesn't simply have to do with those we know or those who do good or those who are suffering as victims. Our compassion is given to all living beings on an equal basis: victims, perpetrators, those who observe, those who did nothing, who could have done something, those who ran to help. All of living beings, even people on other planets and other worlds and other realms, living beings, animals, and those in the God realm, and those who are suffering in the hell realm, all should receive equally our compassion and concern. And in that way, I personally have a kind of criteria. First, I pray for the victim, that the perpetrator of this victim, the perpetrator, does not get a kind of, and I'm talking about in a more practical sense, okay, after talking about the vast sense of how compassion should be dealt with, how it should be disseminated, that leaving that aside, that there's a practical application, and that this is the triage of the difficulty. First the victims, then the families, then the society, then this poor person who was so insane, so out of balance, that they would harm others, thinking that it brought them benefit. So yes, I have strong feelings of compassion toward this person, but not as strong as I do the victim.
Mm-hmm. So that takes us to forgiveness, which Western science has shown that that forgiveness is very important for healing and for getting beyond childhood and other traumas and to live a better life. But it's also a concept that spiritual traditions have known about and discussed and practiced forever. Let's talk about forgiveness in the context of your studies and teaching.
That forgiveness is a big subject and can be looked at in many different ways. That forgiveness holds us back. Lack of forgiveness holds us back. And so how I look at forgiveness is actually working deliberately toward closure, and closure of confusion, closure of energetic or internal or subconscious, you might call it subconscious distress, that which prevents us from moving on. And so what we need to have is a sense of comfort and openness returning to us. And so the result of forgiveness is openness. And so when we do our practices of compassion, that we have many different methods to generate forgiveness. An important method is to do nightly review. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
You know, you're lying in bed and you can't fall asleep yet.
I probably have, actually, but go on.
And so you roll up your day by starting from that moment and going backwards, the people that you have met, the activities that you've done. This is done, all within a period of maybe 5 minutes. If you find someone that you have said or done something to that requires your forgiveness, make a mental note to call them the next day and apologize. Or if that's not possible, mentally, just then, ask their forgiveness. Or forgive them if you've been wounded during the day, and forgive them and let it go and go back and back and back until the moment you got up in the morning. This is a very good technique to be able to sleep better and to be able to keep things from building so that you have to take excessive steps for forgiveness or to forgive someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is actually a practice that I'm familiar with from a different spiritual tradition, going back to my point that really, I suppose, because everything is one and everything starts with the same source, there's just many ways and different paths to get there, but basically the teachings are all the same, though they might seem different. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Bless us all. And at this holy season, may we be blessed by the Christians. May they be happy with us. Mm-hmm. May they look upon us with favor, and may they celebrate this important time, this birth of Christ. May they do it with elegance and joy. Whether they are celebrating alone or with family, may they be happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have just a few more minutes. There's a lot more I wanted to ask you about, but I wonder if there's anything I didn't ask you about that you feel is important to still discuss in these last few minutes.
You know, the heart of Buddhism is meditation.
Right.
And the heart of meditation is retreat. And so this was extremely important to me. Rather than having stupas and large temples and big statues or having something really big and fancy, it was the most important thing that my students have an opportunity to be on retreat. Presently, we always have retreatants coming here to Lotus Lake, which is what I established, so people could come and meditate and experience silence and be cared for in a sacred atmosphere. And we have one student who is here on 3-month retreat, doing very well, thank you, and others who are anticipating coming on longer retreat. Retreat is the only way that you are really going to dive deep into the changes that need to be made in order to awaken. So in the spirit of awakening, retreat is imperative.
And how can people get a hold of you or find out more about your retreat?
We have my phone number. Actually, it's not my phone number. The phone number of the center, Lotus Lake, is 715-743-6743. Our website is www.white-conch.org. And I am quite active on Facebook, Domo Geshe Rinpoche on Facebook, as well as having teaching scheduled in many different places. So busy.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Domo Geshe Rinpoche, for joining us today and sharing all that you shared with us.
And happy holidays to you.
Thank you, and to you too.
Bless
Bye-bye.
you.
You're listening to WORT 89.9 FM in Madison, Wisconsin, and WORT HD.